Good Tuesday morning, you gorgeous patriots, you and all the other alike. Uh, Please hang out with me, like, subscribe, share. I could really use some help there. But I wanted to turn you on to a little bit of Tim Pool that I watched last night, and I suggest you check him out yourself. He wants to talk about how things have changed, at least in the first segment here, and I'll put the comment so you can, I'll put the link down there so you can comment and follow him and see the whole thing in its entirety. But, the way that all of the news cycles are reporting this is absolutely not cool at all. Not cool at all. So I'll let you hear some of this and I will chime in and let's do it.
Pull up this tweet from Andy No. We have this. This is shocking, a shocking revelation. Andy No initially reported this morning, before we got new information, at least 23 Stop Cop City suspects were arrested in Atlanta on suspicion of domestic terror over the violent ambush on police. Almost all are from out of state. One of the terror suspects is a Southern Poverty Law Center staff attorney.
Now notice Andy No, he's a great reporter, great journalist. He's using terrorist in his description, and you won't see that on mainstream.
And another is a Canadian academic story to come. This is crazy. The SPLC has responded by admitting that their guy was there. This is shocking. You'd think they want to deny and be like, nope. Oh, nope. They outright said it. Law enforcement detained at least 35 demonstrators in Atlanta, including an SPLC employee who was arrested while acting and identifying as a legal observer on behalf of NLG News. I would just like to point something out.
And God forbid any of them got hurt. But God forbid the lawyer gets hurt and possibly killed, which I believe the police had to do what they had to do. They were trying not, they did arrest people, which I guess is okay to say, but they should be in jail for a good while. This shouldn't just be, a $500 fine and they're back out, because there was people from France, people from Canada, people from out of state, all like kind of hanging in the woods for a long time, and then they just like came into this place, and this wasn't like a marching in lockstep down a street holding signs or everybody holding hands or holding arms sitting in an intersection. This was truly a terrorist attack on government soil, so from people outside of our country.
If you're a lawyer and you're with a bunch of people who have decided to rob a bank, and you go into the bank with them, and you're dressed like them, I'm sorry, you're an accomplice. This is not a protest. The legal observers typically go to demonstrations where people are marching down the street, and they watch. And then when the cops act a fool, they say, we saw that. This was a group of terrorists ransacking, breaking onto government property and burning it to the ground. And then an SPLC employee decided to join them just to watch. Yeah, you're not exempt from breaking into a government facility because you're an attorney for a nonprofit. So all they've done thus far is admit he was actually there. They say it's part of a months-long escalation of police tactics, blah, 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 blah. But the fact that a terrorist cell, and a national chapter, Antifa and its international associates have support from the National Lawyers Guild and the Southern Poverty Law Center shows you just how far gone we are. And
we're losing a war. Everybody's wondering when World War III is going to start. It already started. It's just, it doesn't look like Korea or World War II. This is complete taking over of America, and patriots are starting to understand better than ever what's going on. And when a patriot goes silent,
how close we are to a legitimate culture revolution. And I'm sure the left is very excited about it.
Of course they are. It's something that has been in the works for a lot of years. This is not new. This started, I would say that the foundation was laid in the 80s with Paulo Freire's influence in schools, and then with the influence of Paulo Freire in the schools of education in the 90s. Start pumping out these kids from the humanities departments that all believe that essentially socialism is the way.
I think it goes even farther than that. What was the Long March into the Institutions? That
Yeah,
was what,
that's-
the 60s?
that was-
They started to creep in, right? Was it 60s?
The term was coined by Antonio Gramsci, who was
Like McCarthyism and all that.
he wrote it in the
stuff.
20s. But
Oh,
that,
wow, really?
Yeah, Antonio Gramsci wrote from an Italian prison in the 20s, and he's the one that came up with the idea that you had to go through the institutions and change the culture.
And they did.
All right, now that's a lot closer. His last one or two sentences. This is the book I'm working on right now. All right, if you can see it, all good. All right, W. Cleon Skousen. Book was written in 1955, and he was born probably around 1900, maybe a tiny bit even earlier than that. But he had seen through his the schooling he went through. He saw the way communism was creeping in to our system. And basically any communist country knew wholeheartedly, especially because we were capitalists too, and we had a really good constitution and for freedoms and Bill of Rights and all that. The CCR, USSR, Freudian slip, and the CCR now, they know that the only way that they can get America broken is to mess with our social status, gender, racism, social justice warriors. That's going to break the fabric of us. If they get us fighting each other inside, we're not as strong when we want to fight for something that's good outside of our country. So W. Cleon Skousen wrote The Naked Communist, 1955. By I think 1957, 58, he brought it straight to Congress. The book was actually, they had sessions on just the book alone. And I don't know if you remember, but at one point the Democratic Party was actually going after people in big business, people in Hollywood, people in the music industry, people in sports. Are you a communist? Are you red? And they were simply going after him tooth and nail. I think even Lucille Ball was at one time, investigated for being red. Red, I mean communist. So the Democratic Party has changed completely. And you can see it. We're all starting to see it. And even Democrats in the party are seeing it. It's only those that are brainwashed right now that are kind of towing the line. And if we don't step on the brakes, we are going to lose America. And I am totally sure of it. If we don't have something in 2024 and this cycle keeps going, America's going to be communist. It's going to be a socialist country. I'm sorry to say that.
And that's exactly what they did.
Well, Mao did it, and he proved that it works, and now it's being done here.
There's a couple ideas pertaining to the Long March through the institutions, and Yuri Bezmenov, of course, most people who watch the show are familiar with, talked about the demoralization and the subversion of the United States. This was, of course, during the Cold War. And so one of the scariest theories is the Soviet zombie takedown of the United States. And that idea is the Soviets implanted these ideas into the United States to basically plant seeds that would eventually destroy and uproot this country. We may be experiencing that, but the Soviet Union no longer exists.
And if you think of Ronald Reagan saying, Gorbachev, take down that wall, that was supposed to be like, woohoo, we're all good now, everybody's good, they're taking down the wall. Well, it was already over. That was actually like the whole selling past the sale right there, because everybody just thought, oh my God, it's 1947 again. Let's make babies. The world, war's over. And if you noticed, by 1950, 55, we're in Korea. So we didn't even get a decade to stop being in wars, and that's because they found out the war machine makes money. So as soon as all the boot makers or the tire guys or whatever, the people that made the silverware didn't get the government contract after World War II, they saw a huge, oh, we've got to tighten our belt. We're not making those government contracts. So all of a sudden, the only way to get those contracts is we need a war. And now you've heard the term proxy war. So right now, if we're fighting Russia, it's only Ukraine is the proxy. You get me? All right. So check this out, because something's going to Something's going to be really cool coming up by this young lady, what she's going to say.
So this is like, it's kind of creepy. It's like almost perfect for a movie where like a spaceship crew comes across actually there's like a Star Trek episode about this. They come to a planet and there's a doomsday weapon armed ready to go because of a war that was going on. The Soviet Union.
It's like the ghost of the Soviet Union is in America now.
It's right.
Yeah.
And it's corrupt.
The Soviet exists. It's just not unified.
Yeah.
As
crazy.
As we were at war, they implanted a poison in the U.S.
Yep.
Were destroyed themselves, but that poison remained, and the attack was terminal. This is a double knockout.
100%.
And I mean, another thing about the institutions and the universities in particular
This is what I want you to hear real quick.
was the critical race theory, which, we know about that now. It's actually kind of crazy because I remember looking this up back in 2016, and it was all this information about how it got its
2016, and they were scared poopless that Trump was going to make it into office and or did, and then everybody freaked out.
roots also with the Soviet stuff because
And think of the lady that's in the street after the election of 2016. Think of that lady with the knit hat on, and she's going, no. Do you think she was paid to do that, or do you think she was taught that as soon as we get Hillary in there, we got this socialism, communism going. We are strong. All we have to do is get Hillary in there. And then, boom, that bubble burst. And it gave us about 3 years. Unfortunately, they kicked the butts off of, Trump's ideas with tons of hoaxes, but you see what happened for those 3 years. It was good for Americans.
they wanted to have a way of like breaking down what the family unit and all those things so that they can be dependent on the state and what have you. But they got its way into Columbia University with
Yep.
the Frankfurt School
Yeah.
or whatever. And I found all this information about it, and I was like researching it. If you look that up now today, it says right-wing conspiracy theory.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like there's no actual information documents about it, and I'm
It's gone. And I need to show you this too, because I want you to, subscribe to Tim, at least on YouTube, and watch his stuff. Go do your other research, find some more people. You can't see it on mainstream media, but I was looking at it, and this is absolutely nuts. I'm looking at all the headlines, and I don't know if you'll be able to see all of them, but CBS, Georgia, Cop City, all right, they're calling it Cop City, fireworks thrown at officers on cam. But there's no headline of like insurrection or terroristic threats. And then if you go over to here, on this one, it's from YouTube, and it's, let's see, that's from 11 Alive in Georgia. Protesters and officers clash at Future Police Training Center. Doesn't that give you a red flag? First of all, they're not protesters, like we talked about before. And it's where police, they screamed, we want better training. If we're going to not defund the police, we want better facilities and training. So now you got these goofballs that don't even belong to the country, let alone you got a lawyer running around in there, and you got people from Canada and France, and they're arrested. They should be detained and then, go in front of the courts, but we'll see. Because arrested means they could just be, okay, here's your fine for protesting. All right, down here, Atlanta, this is from YouTube, USA Today. Atlanta police arrest dozens for incident at proposed training facility. It's not just proposed, it's happening. They're building it. They're making it happen. But it's driving me absolutely batshit that they're not calling it the right thing. It is terrorist attack. It's a terrorist attack. Over on Microsoft News, police arrest 35 people allowing clashes with activists. Now they're just activists. They're not terrorists. If you go down even further, dozens arrested after violent attack on Atlanta Cop City. Well, at least Fox throws in violent attack. Okay, that's cool. Why over here, Daily Motion, why protesters attacked Atlanta's police training center? Okay, they said attacked, okay, but they're not protesters. All right, clashes at Cop City, Atlanta's planned police training center. Clashes. All right, and then the WRAL news, Raw, aerials of Cop City chaos. Chaos isn't a bad word. Okay. 23 face domestic terrorism charges after arrests. So there's the first one. So I don't know how many's up there. I just wanted to throw a couple at you so you could see it. But there's the first one. So all I can say is please, it's redundant. Don't do your research with mainstream media. You got to get out to, people that are even bigger than I am, of course. I'm just kind of starting it out because I couldn't take it anymore. I have to get on here. My YouTube channel used to be all family and cooking and art and this, that, and the other thing, but I can't be quiet anymore. And I'm fighting. And yes, I get on TikTok and I fight them back with their utensil. I get on their app and I try to fight back. And of course, I'm always banned. I'm always suspended. I'm always red flagged. And you should see the content that is on TikTok. It's crazy. But anyway, I digress. Please, please, please kiss, love, hug a veteran. Get out there, help in your community, and get yourself smarter to what's going on and what's really happened. Be prepared, get some chickens, grow your crops, do what you got to do. Because if 2024 goes manipulated anyway like we think it might not, then 2024 to 2028 is going to be a huge slippery slope. All right, with that, I love you guys, and I will see you on the other side.